Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White, and this is Jason's Weird Reads. And today I'm going to be doing a from the hip style, what I've been reading and what I plan to read, and what I'm currently reading, all that fun stuff. But first, I'm just going to, go into the typical shooting the shit aspect of this video, which is basically the from the hip style that I enjoy doing every so often. I hope I'm outside. I'm hoping that the cars passing by and somebody mowing their lawn nearby doesn't interrupt too much. But I'm gonna try it out anyway. Anyways, it's summertime now, and there's like this crazy haze around here. It's smoky. I live in central Ontario, which is what's very close to South Ontario. I live about an hour and a half away from Toronto, and north of us in Ontario, there's a lot of forest fires. Our part of the world is on fire, and for a while it went away because we had a bunch of rain, but now it's back, and all you can smell is like smoke in the air. And when you look out, you see this haze. It's almost like somebody nearby is maybe a bunch of people are having like an outdoor like bonfires or something. It's not cool. It makes me remember a few years ago when Australia, a big part of Australia, was on fire. It's forest fires on this level. It's never existed on this level, and it's kind of scary as to where we might be going in the future if all these forest fires, just continue year by year, and they just continue getting worse. Kind of going on a different slant than I wanted to, but I don't know. When you experience smoke from fires that are hundreds of miles away, it's alarming. But my holidays are coming up. It's summer, as I just said, and I got 2 weeks off. 2 weeks in a couple of days. Not like last year. Last year I had like 3 solid weeks, and that was awesome. So this year I'm not too sure, but I'm hoping to take full booktube advantage of my holidays, because last year and maybe even the year before, I decided not to do much in terms of filming videos for booktube. I just wanted to chill and be with my family, not worry about camera angles and all that. I don't know what we're doing for summer this year yet, but I'm hoping to do maybe some vlogs. I had thought, honestly, of creating a readathon for during the period of my summer break, and it was going to involve slashers, but there's so many that are already doing that. I didn't want to intrude and just create something that's already there. So I'm just gonna do my own thing, which is what I usually do anyway. Also, I've been reading more poetry, and Pax Panic. She's responsible for it. She was kind of responsible for it before she even passed on. So I was watching her videos. I'd watch a lot of the poetry that she was reading, and so I've decided to start reading more, and I've been doing it on my channel. Those videos tend to get a lot of really low views, but honestly, I don't really care about views anymore. I used to, but I'm gonna keep doing the poetry thing because it's fun, and like I said, it's been getting me back into poetry, but not just reading poetry. It's been getting me back into writing my own poetry, and maybe one of these Thursdays I'll read one of my own poems. I don't know. And speaking of reading, which is going to be the rest of this video, I have made some changes to my TBR, my summer TBR. I had a video recently where I talked about 10 books I wanted to read for late spring and summer. And I've actually read 4 of them so far. That's pretty good for me. And I'm hoping to continue on, but I've made some detours. And you're going to see what those detours are in the remaining part of this video, because I did say at the beginning of this video that I was going to be talking about books I want to read, but that's actually not true. I don't know why I said that. It's just what I'm currently reading and what I have read since the last time I did one of these. So let's get into it, shall we? I'm currently reading Golf Curse by Cameron Robique. I'm really enjoying this book. It's about a bunch of kids who work on a golf course during the summer, and there's a lot of detail going into what this means and what you have to do on a golf course to keep it up. And there's a lot of work apparently, and some of it sounds pretty hard. And there's some scenes so far. I think I'm 45% through, and there's some really creepy scenes so far that I'm really enjoying. Uh, I don't really want to go too far into the supernatural things. I think that should be that should be left up to you to explore yourself if you haven't read it. I think that the slasher in this book is going to be supernatural force. I mean, it's pretty much been told so far that it is, and that's my favorite type of slasher. I think the line kind of blurs when it's a human because then it just becomes like either a mass murderer or a serial killer. I kind of like my slashers to be a supernatural source. Um, and also, I think it's important to mention that Golf Curse is very slow burn. Um, you, for the first half of the book, you're basically following these kids around as they do their work, and I really enjoy it mostly because of the characters. I like the characters, and I'm getting to the part now where it's going to start getting nasty. I mean, there's a lot of foreshadowing, and also there's something very big that happened to a tree, and some other kids who were bad, who did something vandalous, I guess you could say, vandalism. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you haven't read Cameron Robique at all, this is maybe a good place to start. I don't know. Honestly, I would go with Kill River, the first one. And it's important to mention with Cameron Robique is that his slashers are very slow burn. You tend to follow the people as they go throughout their day, and they're usually working. Like Kill River, actually not Kill. The first Kill River has nothing like that. It's about kids who break into a water park that's about to open, and of course something starts stalking them. The second Kill River, though, is about an open water park that you get to follow the characters and see what they do while they're working, and then get their lives get interrupted by this slasher. Golf Curse is very similar to the second Kill River, but the reason why I say it might not be a great place to start is because there is a connection to Disco Death Trap, a big connection, and I don't know if it plays too much into this book, uh, Golf Curse, and I'm hoping it doesn't too much because I decided to going to try and read it this year for around Christmas time. Keep my fingers crossed on that I stick to it. All right. I also I'm just about to start Dead Man's Road by Joe R. Lansdale. Because I haven't started it yet, this could still change, but it's a Western. I don't know anything else about it other than that it has monsters in it. Like there's like Cthulhu, Lovecraftian type monsters. There's a werewolf, I think. Um, it sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm also in terms of poetry, I'm reading Morning Jewelry by Stephanie M. Widovich. And mourning is spelt as though you're mourning someone's passing. Um, this poet, this book of poetry is pretty interesting. You have like some fictional type of poems in there, like the Gravedigger's Daughter, where there's well, it's basically about a gravedigger's daughter. But then there's other poems that feel like they're deeply personal, and you don't know if you should be reading them. It's a great collection so far. I'm only about 25% in, but I'm enjoying it. And what have I been reading? What I've been reading. Okay, so I decided to delve into the world of wool by Hugh Howey. This book was interesting for me to read. I really enjoyed it. I did a TikTok about this book where I sort of deep dive. I didn't deep dive, but I just went deeper into my thoughts on the book Wool and the adaptation series on Apple TV. Uh, it's called Silo, and the TV series is really good. I don't really want to go into that right here, I already did it, but the book Wool is really good. I really enjoyed it. I listened to the audiobook and the narrator. Should have looked up their name before doing this video, but I can't remember who they are. I might put a name down there. They were really good. So both the writing and the narration were spectacular. I did have some issues with some of the story. Like, I think I might have missed something. Maybe it's just that all this stuff is going on in the background, building up, and that's why you get these two factions fighting against each other. But it just didn't come across as believable to me. Once the main premise is they live in a silo that's underground. There's 10,000 people, and of course, there's a few things that happen at the beginning, but the inciting incident is where one of the characters is sent out to do cleaning. So they're sent to the surface to clean, and it always kills you. Getting sent out to clean is a death sentence. And because this one person, one of the characters that we follow, appears to survive by going across the hill to where getting over the hill to where you can't see them anymore. Because that happens, these two factions, they start to fight. And it just seemed kind of weak to me. Like, I think you would need more solid evidence to start killing each other. That's all I'm going to go into about that. But, overall, I really enjoyed the story. It had a really great ending. And the only reason why I didn't continue the series right away is because book 1 is its own contained story, from my understanding. Book 2 is sort of like a prequel. And book 3 takes place in another area. So I thought I'd hold off and maybe read those later, but I'd really like to get back to Hugh Howey's writing, because it's really good. And I'm really enjoying the TV series too. They really expand on the story lines. You can tell that they wanted to last more than just one season, and to remain contained in that one story, Wool. So that was a lot of fun. Next, another book I listened to was episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This book was really interesting because, like I said, I listened to the audiobook, and it really reminded me of some of the storytelling podcasts you can listen to. It had that feel to it. It almost felt like it was meant for audio, because it's almost told in it's basically it's about a group of ghost hunters, TV ghost hunters, prime TV at that. So they've got a fairly popular show, but it's only like on the first season. They all want it to last into the second season. They want a second season basically, and so they go into like the most haunted house in the country, and it turns out to be real, and terrible things happen. Uh, which is to be expected when you're reading a horror novel. So you have a cast of characters reading their parts, and you have like a narrator character who covers all the other parts. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't great in areas. I really enjoyed the end where it sort of got like a Grave Encounters, the movie, sort of feel to it, which is like a favorite movie of mine. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I didn't find anything like terribly wrong with this book, but at the same time, it's not memorable, if that makes any sense. I really enjoyed it, but I'm already forgetting a lot of what happened. I remember the beginning and the ending, but I don't really remember the middle all that much. I also read, next book here is The Har by David Sodergren. I read this on my Kindle, and I really, really enjoyed this one. This is my first David Sodergren, so I'm happy that I finally dove into David Sodergren's world, because, and I'm glad I started with this book because it was pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. I didn't know what to expect, but it satisfied the itch that I was sort of craving. It's about the book. The Har is about an old woman who lives all by herself. Her husband passed away years ago, and she's pretty much at the end of her life herself. I believe she's like 87 or something like that. She's really old, and she's haunted, as everyone else in the town is, haunted by this big corporation who wants to build, and they are in the process of building, a golf course funny enough, considering what I just read, what I'm currently reading, Golf Curse. And so they're trying to buy the land from her property, and she's not having it. She's lived there her entire life, and she doesn't want to move. She wants to die pretty much where she's been all her life. And pretty much everyone in town are getting the same offers, and they're slowly giving in to these corporate bastards. And along the way, these offers are slowly becoming threats, and certain things are happening. And in the process of all this, our main character, our 87-year-old woman, finds this weird sea creature that's come ashore and is dying, and she decides to take care of it. And strange things then happen. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's going to make a favorite at the end of the year. Just really fast read, and I just can't recommend it enough. It's so good. I really enjoyed the ways David Sodergren represented an old lady. There was no discrimination or anything like that. If anything, you sort of get the idea of what getting old might feel like. What I'm looking forward to, especially if I live that long. That would be. I can't imagine being 87. Hey, I also read another first for me, The Bloody Tracks of Bigfoot by David Irons. I did a book review on this, and I read this on my Kindle, and it was another really fun read. I wasn't completely expecting how much that I was going to enjoy it, but I enjoy all the Bigfoot fiction I've read. I've enjoyed, and when I saw the cover right there, I couldn't pass it up, so I decided to read it. I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, so if you're a member, you can read it for free. And it's just a lot of fun, but if I remember, I'll put my review up here so you can check out more of the story. It's basically about a film crew who goes to this old construction site. It's a construction site in the middle of nowhere, basically, and basically what they just want to finish their film, and they've got all the permits and whatnot to do so, and they run into some Bigfoot issues, and this is one of the goriest books, fun gory, I would say, that I've read in a while. I really enjoyed it for that, and I enjoyed the characters, even though they're not exactly likable characters. There's one character I thought was a decent person, and being somewhat of a slasher itself, that's to be expected. You're not supposed to exactly like the characters necessarily. In fact, I think it's supposed to be somewhat cathartic to see the assholes die. So it definitely it solves that. There was one character thing that happened that I didn't necessarily agree with. The character sort of starts making very odd decisions in their insanity. I don't know if they were exactly insane or they just suddenly got greedy. But it didn't fit, in my opinion. Overall, though, the book was good, and I really enjoyed the weird, fucked up ending. And so, because I enjoyed that one a lot, I decided to go and read Wolf Moon by David Irons as well. And this one starts off really strong. I really, really enjoyed the beginning. David Irons created a futuristic world that is very grim and full of industry and capitalism, those evil capitalist bastards, and there's werewolves in space. It's about a space crew that goes up into space. They're miners, and they're going to steal a big corporation's silver from an asteroid, and they run into a werewolf. And I'm going to leave it at that for the plot. But basically, this book, I say basically a lot, this book is sort of like Alien in a sense, where they get this alien-like creature, except in this case it's a werewolf, on their spaceship. And once I got to all that, I don't know, I just started losing interest. And that's where I'm supposed to get the interest, It just got kind of silly and not in a good way, in my opinion. I didn't hate it, but I really enjoyed the beginning. I felt the beginning was really strong. Whereas with the Bloody Tracks of Bigfoot, I thought the beginning was kind of weak. There's just so many characters being tossed at you. You didn't know who was who. And they all have typical names. In this one, you understood who the characters were, felt the characters were presented in almost a brilliant way. Not really brilliant, but in a very, very accessible way. And and although at first you don't like these characters, once they're on the spaceship and talking with each other and they're heading to their little mission, their thieving mission, you start to care for the characters, and they really shine in their own way. So you feel bad when, the inevitable in a horror book starts to happen. But like I said, the werewolf itself is where it lost me. So moving on from horror, I read a science fiction book. This year is supposed to be the year of science fiction. And I read Deathstalker by Simon R. Green. I really enjoyed this book. It's full of fun, basically. It's very schlocky. It's like Star Wars meeting the Fifth Element. And I'm going to leave it at that, because although this is a series of books, I don't think I'm going to continue, because it's only been about a month since I've read it, and I don't really remember all that much about it. That's not good, but I remember enjoying reading it while I was reading it. Simon R. Green, so if you're familiar with Simon R. Green, then you know what he's capable of, and you know that this story is going to be full of imaginative things. And it is. It's a lot of fun. But for some reason, it just didn't stick with me as much as I wanted it to. I wanted to adapt this series. By adapt it, I mean like read the whole thing from beginning to the end as fast as I could. But by the end of the first book, I was like, you know what? I think I've had my fill. I'm not good with series, though. Series, I don't know why, but I'll read book one, and I don't typically make it much past book three. I don't know why that is, but I might return to the Deathstalker series, but I probably won't, and the big reason is because I don't remember much what happened in book one. All right, and lastly here, before I let you guys go, I read a nonfiction book as well, and it's Dispatches by Michael Herr. Now, this is a book about Vietnam, the Vietnam War, and Michael Herr, who is a war correspondent, his experiences in Vietnam. This book isn't it's more of like a memoir almost, in that it goes sort of back and forth between what he experienced and he experienced a lot of things, because he would hop from like division to division, and he would always be in the thick of things. He was there during the Tet Offensive, and he was there through a lot of the hill battles, like A Shaw Valley, and those types of battles. And he goes into some very, very nasty things that he witnessed. He also goes through a lot of the in describing a lot of the people that he met, and he never really fought, but there's some really interesting observations he makes about the soldiers that fought in the Vietnam War. The interesting thing about this book is at the beginning, it sort of just goes with him hopping from place to place, and then going back here, and then going back to the future. And then around the middle of the book, though, there's some characters. He starts going into like some of the people that he met, and you start to learn who these people were. It was an interesting approach, I thought, and I really absolutely loved this book. It's very honest, and it's very, very grim and dark, and there's some interesting psychology happening within Michael Herr himself, and also the soldiers who played a big role in the Vietnam War. Michael Herr, if you don't know, he co-wrote the script for Full Metal Jacket, and he also co-wrote the script for Apocalypse Now, both Vietnam War films, if in case you didn't know. And you can tell, like, there's a lot of things that happen in Dispatches that were pretty much put into those movies, especially Full Metal Jacket. In fact, there's some parts of Full Metal Jacket you could tell were somewhat adapted from Dispatches, I think. Although I don't think there's any credit given to Dispatches, but same author, same scriptwriter. So it was an awesome read. If you're interested at all in the Vietnam War, like I am, definitely give it a read if you haven't already. And I honestly, if you were to ask me why I've always been interested in the Vietnam War, I have no idea. but I started reading books about the Vietnam War uh, way back when I was like 11 years old. My grandmother had a heart attack, and we were in the hospital. You know, as you do, you'd sit around in the hospital. And I went to the gift shop, and they had this book called Vietnam Ground Zero. I can't remember what the name of the book was exactly, but it was, I'll put a cover here, but it was written by Eric Helm. Later on, I learned that Eric Helm is sort of a pen name for a whole bunch of authors. It's either two authors or like a group of authors who would write in this series. And I made it pretty far in that series. And that sort of sparked off my interest in the Vietnam War, and it just continued with movies like Platoon and whatnot. And so there you have it. There's my From the Hip, episode 13, or sorry, 17, I believe. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, leave me a little spaceship deep down there in the darkness, or any emoticon you want to leave, and I'll leave you some in return. Thank you for watching. Keep being safe and keep being creative, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.